Hey y'all! Thought we'd pop in today to talk about something every fiber crafter runs into sooner or later, and that is the eternal struggle of storage. If you've been sewing, knitting, crocheting, or cross stitching for any amount of time, you have probably realized that your supplies seem to multiply when you're not looking. One day you have one little sewing kit, and the next day you turn around and somehow you own 12 pairs of scissors, 3 sets of crochet hooks, an entire drawer full of fabric fat quarters, and at least 8 half-finished projects that you swear you're going to get back to someday. And the next day you find yourself wondering why you can't find anything, why your project bags are scattered across every room in the house, and why all your notions seem to vanish into the void the moment you need them. So today I want to talk about a brilliant sewing box and storage solution that most crafters don't think about. But once you do, you're never going to go back. Traditional sewing boxes are cute. There's no denying that. They often come with those classic little trays inside, the charming fabric tops, maybe a vintage look if you get a nice one. But here's the truth. They're tiny. They're adorable, but tiny. They'll hold a few notions, a pin cushion, maybe a tape measure, and if you're really lucky, a couple of sewing machine feet buried at the bottom. But that's about it. The moment you start taking sewing seriously, or even mildly seriously, those boxes stop being useful. You can't store your fabric in there, not unless you're working with scraps the size of your palm. You can't store your patterns in there without folding them 17 times. You can't store a real collection of thread or bobbins or actual tools. And so what happens? We start spreading out. A drawer here, a basket there, a tote bag for knitting, a project bag for crochet, a plastic storage bin for fabric, a random box for interfacing. Before long, your crafting space isn't a space at all. It's a treasure hunt. But there is a solution, and it's a surprisingly creative one. You're not going to find it in a craft store. You're not even going to find it in the storage aisle. You're going to find it at the hardware store. Yep, your new sewing box lives right beside the socket wrenches and the power drills. What you want to look for is a rolling tool chest, the kind mechanics use. You've probably seen them before. Big metal cabinets on wheels with dozens of drawers, and sometimes even built-in power outlets or little mini fridges if you want to get fancy. Stay with me, because I promise this makes sense. A tool chest is, at its core, a storage dream. It's built to hold heavy tools, which means if it can hold a tray full of steel wrenches, it can definitely handle your rotary cutters, seam rippers, and scissors without batting an eye. It has drawers of all sizes, including shallow drawers that are perfect for notions, medium drawers that can hold patterns or needle sets, and deep drawers that can store fabric without crushing it. And because it rolls, you can move your entire crafting setup around without dragging bins behind you like a confused pack mule. If you craft in the living room sometimes and the bedroom other times, or even at the kitchen table, that mobility becomes a lifesaver. But the real magic happens when you start to fill it. Suddenly, everything starts to find a home. You open one drawer, and there are all your scissors lined up neatly instead of hiding under piles of fabric. Another drawer holds your crochet hooks and knitting needles, sorted so that you can actually find the size you want without playing around of guess that needle. Another drawer has your embroidery floss organized by color. Yes, all those DMC numbers finally visible at a glance. You can have a drawer just for patterns, a drawer for interfacing, a drawer for fabric that you actually use, and maybe even a special drawer for all those unfinished projects that we all pretend don't exist. The beauty is that everything has space, and everything is protected. No more crushed patterns or tangled threads or stray needles poking out from under the couch cushion waiting to ruin your day. Now, depending on your crafting habits, and let's be honest, some of us have a serious case of stashitis, You might even want 2 tool chests. One can be used for everyday crafting supplies, and the other can be for fabric storage or yarn storage, quilting gear, cross-stitching kits, embroidery hoops, large rulers, or anything else that deserves its own place. These chests stack well side by side, and because they're meant for garages, they're sturdy, long-lasting, and surprisingly stylish if you pick a color you like. You can go classic red, sleek black, fun blue, or even bright orange if that's your vibe. Let's talk for a minute about how to set one up, because this is where people really start to fall in love with the system. Start with the top drawer as your essentials drawer. This is where your most used tools live: scissors, seam ripper, tape measure, chalk markers, thread snips, and hand needles you always misplace, and anything you reach for every time you sit down to stitch or sew something. Having these in one spot saves so much time. No more hunting for the scissors you know you put down 5 minutes ago. Below that, start dedicating drawers to specific categories. One drawer just for thread, spools and bobbins and embroidery floss, everything organized so you can see all the colors at once. Another drawer just for needles and hooks. Knitting needles sorted by size, crochet hooks grouped together, hand sewing needles in their cases, sewing machine needles in those little labeled boxes so you always know what type you need. It feels luxurious to have everything visible and accessible instead of buried in 10 different bags. Then you can move down to a drawer for patterns. Fold them once, lay them flat, and suddenly you can actually browse your pattern collection like a tiny personal store. No more crumpled envelopes, no more guessing if you already own a particular design. After that, a drawer for fabric. Whether you like to fold your fabric into neat rectangles or roll it Marie Kondo style, the drawers at the bottom can handle it easily. This also keeps your fabrics clean, dust-free, and separate from the chaos of your crafting table. Next might be what I lovingly call the WIP drawer, the WIP, the work in progress drawer. This is for all the projects that are in progress, waiting their turn, on pause, or in timeout because they annoyed you. We all have that project that isn't ready to be finished yet, usually because it misbehaved. Give it a drawer. Let it sit there and think about what it's done. And then one magical day, you'll open the drawer, see it again, and suddenly feel inspired to finish it. Now, here's the thing I really love about tool chests. They're customizable. If you're the type of crafter who loves to label everything, you can label the drawers. If you're the kind of crafter who likes to have things visibly organized, you can use clear acrylic inserts or cut foam liners to size. Some people add magnetic strips inside the drawers to hold metal tools in place. Some add tiny jars for buttons. Some use little bins for zippers or snap fasteners. It becomes your crafting command center, designed exactly how your brain works. And because some tool chests come with built-in power outlets, you can even use them as a mini charging station. Imagine keeping your glue gun plugged in right next to the chest, or charging your phone right next to your project area, or plugging in a small task lamp. It becomes a crafting headquarters, and everything flows easier. The beauty of this system is that it works for every type of fiber crafter. Whether you're a quilter, a sewer, a knitter, a crocheter, a cross-stitcher, or someone who does a little bit of everything, which, let's be honest, is most of us, you can adapt the tool chest to your needs. If knitting is your main passion, you can dedicate whole drawers to yarn cakes, labels, and stitch markers, interchangeable needle sets, and pattern books. If crochet is your world, you can organize hooks and grips and yarn and blocking mats and project bags. If you're a cross-stitch lover, you can create drawers for charts, floss, fabric cuts, hoops, needles, beads. It all fits. It all works. And the tidier your space becomes, the more you want to create. And the best part? A tool chest lasts forever. Unlike traditional sewing boxes that eventually warp or break or just become too small, a tool chest is designed for decades of use. The drawers glide smoothly even when they're full. The metal sides don't crack. The wheels stay strong. And it even looks impressive in your craft room. People walk in and think, wow, that's organized. And only you know it's secretly filled with fabric and DMC floss instead of socket wrenches. So if you've been struggling with storage and you've been drowning in bags and bins and project piles, consider heading to your local hardware store and taking a look at the tool chests. They are so much more affordable than specialty craft storage furniture, and they do the job better. You can even start with a small one and work your way up as your stash grows. Or, if you're like most of us, you can skip straight to the big one and enjoy the satisfaction of having more drawers than you know what to do with, for about 5 minutes until you fill them all. Well, y'all, that's about it. Tell me what you'd put in your dream sewing chest. I love hearing how other fiber artists organize their stash. Happy stitching!